Ooh. Boom! Hey, how are you? Welcome to Chillin Tuesday on the 23rd of January 2024. I'm Thundercloud, Mum calls me James. We're here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Today I'm sharing some of Henry Lawson's 1895 word games. Good old Henry. He's 28 when he wrote these poems in 1895. He only lived to 55, so that actually makes him in his middle of his life. He was middle-aged. The first one we've got here is the Vagabond. White handkerchiefs wave from the short black pier as we glide to the grand old sea. But the song of my heart is for none to hear, if one of them waves for me. A roving, roaming life is mine, ever by field or flood. For not far back in my father's line was a dash of gypsy blood. Flax and tussock and fern, gum and mulga and sand, reef and palm, but my fancies turn. Ever away from land, strange wild cities in ancient state, range and river and tree, snow and ice, but my star of fate is ever across the sea. A godlike ride on a thundering sea, when all but the stars are blind, a desperate race from eternity with a gale and a half behind. A jovial spree in the cabin at night, a song on the rolling deck, a lark ashore with the ships in sight till a wreck goes down with a wreck. A smoke and a yarn on the deck by day when life is a waking dream, and care and trouble so far away that out of your life they seem. That a roving spirit in sympathy who has travelled the whole world o'er, my heart forgets in a week at sea the troubles of years on shore. A rolling stone, 'tis a sore for slaves, philosophy false as old, wear out or break neath the feet of knaves, or rot in your bed of mould. But I'd rather trust to the darkest skies and the wildest seas that roar, or die where the stars of nations rise in the stormy clouds of war. Cleave to your country, home and friends, die in your sordid strife. You can count your friends on your finger ends in the critical hours of life. Sacrifice all for the family's safe, bow to their selfish rule. Slave till your big hot, soft heart they break, the heart of the family fool. Domestic quarrels and family spite, and your native land may be controlled by custom, but come what might the rest of the world for me, I'd sail with money or sail without, if your love be forced from home, and you dare enough and your heart be stout, the world is your own to roam. I've never a love that can sting my pride, nor a friend to prove untrue, for I leave my love ere the turning tide, and all my friends are all new too. The curse of the powers on a peace like ours, with its greed and its treachery, a stranger's hand in a stranger land, and the rest of the world for me. But why be bitter? The world is cold to one with a frozen heart. New friends are often so like the old they seem of the past apart. As a better part of the past appears, when enemies parted long, are coming together in kinder years with their better nature strong. I had a friend ere my first ship sailed, a friend I never deserved, for the selfish strain in my blood prevailed as soon as my turn was served, and the memory haunts my heart with shame, or rather the pride that's there. In different guises, but soul the same, I meet him everywhere. I had a chum when the times were tight. We starved in Australian scrubs. We froze together in parks at night and laughed together in pubs. I often hear a laugh like his from a sense of humour keen, and catch a glimpse of a passing fizz of his broad, good-humoured grin. And I had a love, 'twas a love to prize, but I never went back again. I've seen the light of kind brown eyes in many a face since then. The sailors say 'twill be rough tonight as they fasten the hatches down. The south is black and the bar is white and the drifting smoke is brown. The gold is gone from the western haze, the seabirds circle and swarm, but we shall have plenty of sunny days and little enough of storm. The hill is hiding the short black pier as the last white signal's seen. The points run in and the houses veer and the great bluff stands between. So darkness swallows each far white speck on many a wharf and quay. The night comes down on a restless dock, grim cliffs and the open sea. That's from In the Days When the World Was Wide. Next one here, To an Old Mate. Speaking of my old mates, I was down at Tamworth today at the Tamworth Country Music Festival, not at the festival itself. I was at West Tamworth Bolo for the Frank Daniels walk-up competition and the Rhymers show featuring Tom McElveen, Jeffrey Graham, Susan Ashton, Paddy O'Brien, Ray Essery, Bill Kearns, what's his name? Johnny Peel. And then after the Rhymers show was the Frank Daniels walk-up competition heat, which is on Friday is the final. And guess what? I got through to the final with Henry Lawson's poem, The Water Lily. And I'll do the water lily for you after I read To an Old Mate. But if you're going to be in Tamworth there on Friday, get along to the West Tamworth Bolo and see yours truly. And congratulations to all the other contestants who got through to the final. There'd be Lance Lawrence, David Melville, Rob, Dorsey, and yours truly, Thundercloud. To an old mate. Old mate. In the gusty weather when our hopes and our troubles were new, in the years spent in wearing out leather, I found you selfish and untrue. I found you unselfish and true. I've gathered these verses together for the sake of our friendship and you. You may think for a while, and with reason, though still with a kindly regret, that I've left it for late in the season, to prove I remember you yet. But you'll never judge me by their treason, who profit by friends and forget. I remember, old man, I remember the tracks that we followed are clear. The jovial nights of December, the solemn first days of the year, long tramps through clearings and timber, short partings on platform and pier. I can still feel the spirit that bore us, and often the old stars shine. I remember the last spree in chorus, for the sake of that other lang syne, when the tracks lay divided before us, your path through the future and mine, through the frost wind that cut like whip lashes, through the ever-blind haze of the drought, and in fancy at times by the flashes of light in the darkness of doubt, I followed the tent poles and ashes of your camps that we moved further out. You'll find in these pages a trace of that side of our past which was bright, and recognise sometimes the face of a friend who has dropped out of sight. I send them along in the place of the letters I promised to write. That's really interesting, following on from the other one of the Wanderer, the Vagabond, I should say, because in the Vagabond he does mention, these old forgotten friends, etc. You've got a few bits of Henry Lawson, prose and short story writing. Then we've got Peter Anderson and co. It's quite a long one. He's a bit of a not such a successful businessman. He had offices in Sydney not so many years ago, and his shingle bore the legend, Peter Anderson and co. But his real name was Careless, as the fellows understood, and his relative decided that he wasn't any good. It was their gentle tongues that blasted any character he had. He was fond of beer and leisure, and the co was just as bad. He was limited in number to a unit, was the co. 'Twas a bosom chum of Peter, and his Christian name was Joe. 'Tis a class of men belonging to those soul-forsaken years. Third-rate canvassers, collectors, journalists and auctioneers. They're never very shabby, they are never very spruce. going cheerfully and carelessly and smoothly to the juice. Some are wanderers by profession, turning up and gone as soon, travelling second class or steerage. When it's cheap, they go saloon. Free from ists and isms, troubled by belief and doubt, lazy, purposeless and useless, knocking round and hanging out. They will take what they can get, they will give what they can give. God alone knows how they manage, God alone knows how they live. They are nearly always hard up, but are cheerful all the while, men whose energy and trousers wear out sooner than a smile. They, no doubt like us, are haunted by the boresome if or might, but their ghosts are ghosts of daylight. They are men who live at night. Peter met you with the comic smile of one who knows you well, and is mighty glad to see you, and has got a joke to tell. He could laugh when all was gloomy, he could grin when all was blue, sing a comic song and act it, and appreciate it too. Only cynical in cases where his own self was the jest, and the humour in the good yarns made atonement for the rest. Seldom serious, doing business till the plant was seized for debt, and the local sinners chuckle over dingy copies yet. Well, they'd been through it all and knew it. In the lands of Bills and Jims, using Peter's own expression, they'd been in various swims. Now, then they'd take an office, as they called it, make a dash, into business life as agents, something not requiring cash. You can always furnish cheaply when your cash or credit fails with a packing case, a hammer and a pound of 2-inch nails, and maybe a drop of varnish and sienna too for tints, and a scrap or two of oilcloth and a yard or two of chintz. They would pull themselves together, pay a week's rent in advance, but it never lasted longer than a month by any chance. The office was their haven, for they lived there when hard up, a daily for a tablecloth, a jam tin for a cup. And if the landlord's bailiff happened round in times like these and seized the office fittings, well, there wasn't much to seize. They would leave him in possession, but at other times they shot the moon and took an office when the landlord knew them not. And when morning brought the bailiff, there'd be nothing to be seen save a piece of bevelled cedar where the tenant's blade had been. There would be no sign of Peter, there would be no sign of Joe, till another portal boasted Peter Anderson and Co. But that life, it might be likened to a restless drinking song, for it can't go on forever, and it never lasted long. Debt collecting ruined Peter. People talked him round too oft, for his heart was soft as butter, and his cose was just as soft. He would cheer the haggard missus, and he'd tell her not to fret. He would ask the worried debtor round with him to have a wet. He would ask him round the corner, and it seemed to him and her, after each of Peter's visits, things were brighter than they were. But of course it wasn't business. Only Peter's careless way, and perhaps it pays in heaven, but on earth it doesn't pay. They got harder up than ever, and to make it worse, the Co went more often round the corner than was good for him to go. When you feel your life is sinking in a dull and useless course, and you begin to find in drinking cleaner pleasure and remorse, break away from friends and pleasure, though it give your heart a jolt. Shun the poison breath of cities, billiard rooms and private bars. Go where you can breathe God's fresh air and the grandeur of the stars. Find again and follow up the old ambitions that you had. See if you can raise a drink, old man, I'm feeling mighty bad. Hot and sweetened, nip of butter, squeeze a lemon, Petey sighed, and while Peter went to fetches, Joseph went to sleep and died. With a smile, anticipation maybe of the peace to come, or a joke to try on Peter, or perhaps it was the rum. Peter staggered, gripped the table, swerved as some old drunkard swerved. At a gulp he drank the toddy just to brace his shattered nerve. It was awful if you like, but then he hadn't time to think. All is nothing, nothing matters, fill your glasses, dead man's drink. Yet To show his heart was not of human decency bereft, Peter paid the undertaker. He got drunk on what was left. He shed some tears, half maudlin, on the grave where lay the co, and he drifted to a township where the city failures go, where, though haunted by the man he was, the wreck he yet might be, or the man he might have been, or by each spectre or of the three, and the dying words of Joseph ringing through his own despair, Peter pulled himself together and he started business there. But his life was very lonely and his heart was very sad, and no help of reformation, and the company was bad. Men who might have been, who had been, who but were not in the swim. 'Twas a town of wrecks and failures, they appreciated him. They would ask him who the co was, that queer company he kept. He'd always answer vaguely. He would say his partner slept, that he had a sleeping partner jesting while his spirit broke. And they grinned above their glasses, for they took it as a joke. He would shout while he had money, he would joke while he had breath. No one seemed to care how he drank himself to death. Till at last there came a morning when his smile was seen no more. He was gone from out the office, and the shingle from the door, and a boundary rider jogging out across the neighbouring run was attracted by something that was in the blazing sun. He found that it was Peter, lying peacefully at rest, with a bottle close beside him and a shingle on his breast. Well, they analysed the liquor, and it would appear he qualified his drink with something good for setting spirits free. 'Twas plainly self-destruction. 'Twas his own affair, they said, and the jury viewed him sadly, and they found that he was dead. Also from in the days when the world was wide. All right, this is the water lily I promised, by Henry Lawson. It was recounted to Henry when he was just a young fella, 23 or something like that, yeah, by a young wife. So imagine this, it's got brilliant imagery. A lonely young wife in her dreaming discerns a lily-decked pool with a border of ferns, and a beautiful child with butterfly wings trips down to the edge of the water and sings, "Come, Mama, come, quick, follow me, step out on the leaves of the water lily." And the lonely young wife, her heart beating wild, cries, "Wait till I come, till I reach you, my child." But the beautiful child with butterfly wings steps out on the leaves of the lily and sings, "Come, Mama, come, quick, follow me, step out on the leaves of the water lily." And the wife, in her dreaming, steps out on the leaves, but the lily leaves sink and she wakes from a dream. Ah, the dreaming is sad for the tears that it brings, and she knows 'tis a dead baby's spirit that sings, "Come, Mama, come, quick, follow me, step out on the leaves of the water lily." All right, but that's it for Chillin' Tuesday. I'm pretty knackered after driving all the way to Tamworth and back early in the morning and all afternoon. So we will see you tomorrow night for Wednesday Words, the 24th of January, here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. See you later.